Welcome to this week's Indie Dev Showcase here on the channel. Every Wednesday night during our streams, we play nothing but indie games, and these videos are the recaps of them. If you'd like to submit a game for a future piece and stream, please get in touch. Unless otherwise noted, all these games were played with press keys submitted by developers. And we are actually beginning with, this was a game from the Summer Festival, a demo, Conscript. So the hook of this game is that instead of war is hell, war is survival horror. The game takes place during World War I in I think this is a French battlefield. I don't know the exact name of it, but you awaken in a trench to find your platoon missing, and strange things are going on. So, as you can tell by the game, we're played from a kind of top-down or slightly isometric perspective. And this is, well, just good old horrific survival horror fashion. You're going to explore, look for items and resources, and of course solve all manner of puzzles while dealing with people and things that are trying to kill you. In terms of difficulty, I would say this game is on the harder side. One of the challenges, as you can see here with combat, it's very hard to fight and not trade blows. I'm assuming once you get like high quality weapons, the quintessential shotgun, I'm assuming is in this game, it becomes easier to stagger and kill enemies. But at the start, you don't have that luxury. And as I said a minute ago, this is survival horror gameplay. So expect limited inventories, various items that you have no idea what their use is, and you're going to be hoarding miscellaneous items as you try to solve things around. But with that said, I really do like Conscript. There's a very different kind of storytelling taking place during World War I, and the game definitely doesn't shy away from mature and disturbing images, despite the pixelated aesthetic. If you're a fan of survival horror, I would say give this one a check, but I'm wondering if they're going to do anything regarding the difficulty or starting balance of this game. But with that said, we switch from brutal and horrific to probably one of the most standout indie games we had a chance to see from the Summer Festival. This is Webbed. And the hook, or the swing of this game, is that you play a spider who has to swing around using entirely physics-driven webbing. So as you can see me kind of grappling around here and doing everything I guess a spider does, including skateboarding at one point. So the entire game is loosely open world. You have objectives to clear, but you are free to move around, string things up, set up webs wherever you see fit at your leisure. And this is just one of those games that I did not know what to expect when I loaded this up, but by the end of this demo, I was sold on this game. And the reason is the movement tech. This is just an amazing example of good game feel and allowing for kind of emergent behavior in terms of how your webbing and movement works. There's just something very enjoyable about this game, and this may easily be one of the examples of one of the best examples, I should say, of game feel. And how, by making the controls and the sense of motion feel right in the player's hand, that it elevates the design more than I think it would otherwise. And really, this is one of those games that to me is just, A+ in terms of everything that I saw with it. If I had any nitpicks in terms of gameplay, is that the demo really just focuses more on the physics and motion. I didn't really see what the actual core gameplay is going to be, as in, what missions are we going to go on, what are we doing as our lovely little spider here. But like I said, those are nitpicks, and definitely do not sleep on this game. I would put this up there with something like Pokey Poke, that I didn't expect a lot going into it, but I ended up loving the game by the end of the play and wanted to see more. And like what you saw right there with me setting up a web to catch that insect. Also, we shoot lasers, but just ignore that point. But everything about this game behaves as you would expect, and it really becomes about you figuring out how you want to move around the space. And again, just one of those games I couldn't stop smiling as I was playing this game and figuring things out. And when a game does that for me, I know that it is going to be a winner. Unfortunately, from that game, we turn to one that is definitely not a winner. And this is Of Bird and Cage. This is an atmospheric, heavy metal, story-driven musical game. I did not make that up. That is in the description of this title. So, this game is definitely trying to go for art over gameplay. And the whole idea is that we play as this woman here who is trying to deal with drug abuse and trying making her life better. And because she's on this designer drug, she is addicted, as you can see right here. And it begins to cause her to hallucinate. And every choice that you make determines how the story goes. You know, the they will remember it kind of designed. And you have to sometimes perform specific actions or tasks during a song. And if you don't do it in time, then you're in trouble or things will change. So they're definitely trying to swing for the fences with this kind of design. But the problem is that everything about the actual gameplay feel doesn't work for me. You have very generic character models, and the grittiness of the game makes it feel more pretentious than it does actually interesting. And when we started to play this game, it got very annoying trying to figure out what I was supposed to do, or what things are interactable without getting really close to it. And it seemed like the general gameplay was just not going to do anything interesting for me. If you're looking for a very different kind of storytelling with more of a modern or gritty look to it, then maybe give this one a check. But if titles like Life is Strange or the Telltale games in terms of adventure design or choices matter don't interest you, then I don't think this game will work for you either. So with that said, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we have 3 more games to look at. And now for a quick thank you to our current Patreon supporters. And if you're interested in my books on design, they are available at most major retailers. 20 Essential Games to Study is for first-time developers looking to be inspired, and the Game Design Deep Dive series covers the history and philosophy of major genres, with horror coming later in 2021. Welcome back, and for our next game, we turn to Temple of Snek. This is a demo for a game that's, I believe, going to be on early access. And what we have here, I guess, is the gritty reboot of the Snek kind of gameplay that I'm sure somebody is interested in. So the gameplay loop is, well, of snake design. Your job is to move your snake around on the field, hitting buttons and avoiding obstacles. Now, the big thing about this game is that your snake obviously moves on its own, which means that if you're not paying attention, it's easy to get into a kind of your classic death state. Now, the demo and the store page promises Metroidvania-style upgrades or kind of power-ups along those lines, and we really didn't see that in this version. Although we just saw him devour that guy right there, which I don't know if that counts as an upgrade or not. But if your snake hits an object, he is killed and you will have to restart at the last checkpoint. And again, it's an interesting concept for a game, but I don't know if an advanced version of Snek is really going to wow people to try this one out. But considering that we only played a demo, there may be more to this game in the finished version. And if you are a fan of this kind of gameplay loop, then there may be something here for you to check out. If you don't like Snek gameplay at all, then I don't think this game is going to work for you. For our next game, we have Carto. And this is a delightful puzzle game, where the concept is that we have the power to shape the land by creating and moving the pieces of the map. And Essentially, the gameplay is about you trying to get your character to explore various areas, which in turn will have new map pieces, which you can then add to your existing ones to create more and more elaborate land. Now, where the game gets interesting is that certain places and events will only happen under specific conditions, such as a house may only appear if it's located at a coastline or near a river, while other things may only exist or will require to be connected to a pre-existing land. So if there's already forests, you may need to connect forests to it. You can't have like a river connecting to a mountain that connects into a plain, for instance. In terms of the puzzle solving, it's pretty much all kind of environmental puzzle design, and the game appears to be on the linear side, as the pieces are unlocked through story and chain of events. From our time spent with the demo, the story does hint at a greater tale to be told. I don't know the extent of the core gameplay, and just how much they're going to put in terms of either non-linear aspects or advanced rules for how the map pieces worked. Now, it is out now. I'm curious for anyone who played it, what are their thoughts on it? Now, before we switch to our final game, as a word warning, it does feature very photosensitivity art, like very striking 1-bit style. So if you do suffer from seizures or have issues with photosensitivity, you may not want to watch our last game in this piece. And with that, we turn to Critters for Sale. Now, this is part 1 of the game, and it's being sold kind of episodically. But this is essentially a kind of point-and-click visual novel, just like freak out of a game, I guess. The story involves a lot of cosmic entities, time travel, alternate worlds, and of course different endings to it as well. And it's one of those games, as you can tell by the art, it's meant to be very striking in terms of what you're seeing. And it can be a bit hard on the eyes, especially some of the more trippier sections in it. But it certainly doesn't look like anything else I think we've seen in these pieces. Now, from playing the first episode of it, the gameplay is mostly linear. Again, this is an adventure-style game. There are multiple endings based on you uncovering specific plot points, saying certain things in dialogue areas, but it does lead to its own, I guess, very weird conclusion if you follow the story. And things certainly get a little bit unusual. And it is one of those games where I think most of the charm is just wondering what the heck the game is going to throw at you next. Because I was certainly not expecting to see this as we were playing through it. But with it only being the first of, I think, a planned 5-part series, it's hard to tell where it's going to go, other than just being more and more odder, I guess, in terms of its story design. And this is one that could be hard to recommend. First off, if what you're seeing right now in terms of the art is too much for your eyes, trust me, it gets far, far more trippier than this, and it can cause some major, I think, eye strain, especially if you're playing this late at night or in the dark. And it is very slow paced. You can't really easily skip dialogue or cutscenes that you've already seen, and I don't know if that will be something that will be added in the later chapters. But if you're looking for once again, a very different take on adventure design with unique art, then I would say give Critters for Sale a look. I believe the first episode, I don't know if it's free, but there should be a demo available for it. So with all that said, we're going to wrap up this week's Spotlight here. As always, if you'd like me to tackle your game in the future, please get in touch. Check out our Discord and Patreon link down below, and come back for daily discussions on game design here and on game wisdom, where some of the art and science of games.